Hello and welcome back to Evan and Freddie Talk Survivor. I'm Evan.
I'm Freddie, and this is our podcast each week where we talk about Australian Survivor. And of course, this week was the big merge week, where
We
merge
had
has
merge.
not finally, because I still feel like it came a bit too soon. I don't know, it
Well,
just
yeah,
felt
the
off.
first two eliminations,
We're
they
not
didn't become
jury.
jury members.
Yeah,
Actually, no, false, because they're really okay. There were three. Technically, there were two eliminations, where
there were
three
two
people went home.
eliminations.
But three
Yeah,
people went home. Two of them didn't end up on the jury. So I guess we could
and
say only one of the eliminations went on the jury. So I guess
no,
now
no,
we're at
weren't
what
there
feels
weren't there
like
two
merge.
eliminations?
No, because there was Redemption Rock, man.
Oh, ugh. God, should we talk about that first?
I mean, I guess so.
Because
It just feels a little
God,
strange. Okay, it's not that it felt early
I
or
was
anything, or
not
that it
into
shouldn't
it.
have been there.
No, it shouldn't have been there at all.
No, okay, no. I don't say that. It just felt weird because it was there for a really short time. Because we saw Chelsea get medevaced. I think there was supposed to be a third person
Oh
going to
yeah,
Redemption Rock, right? So I
yeah,
guess we would have seen them have their challenge at the end of Sunday's episode. But because
yeah.
Chelsea had to get medevaced, it was just like it was just there, and then now it's gone in a week. Like
I
literally
feel like
two
it still
episodes
would have
into it.
felt like that because I don't know. Was it supposed to be three people? I didn't get the vibe that it was supposed to be three people. I always thought, okay, it's going to be two people. They're going to go and do a
What's the point
challenge.
of that then?
And that's a great question. And that's why I
Because usually
wasn't into
Redemption
the
Island, you
twist at
get more
all.
people on there, right? And it's like a bigger challenge. And then I think they had to adapt to make it,
Australian
ahead on.
survivors, Redemption Islands and Exile Islands and stuff have always been two people.
Well, we've
I
only
don't
really
think there's
done it
ever
a
been a
couple
third.
times.
We've only done it a couple times, and it's only ever been two people on that island.
To be totally honest with you, I can't actually fully remember what US does with their Redemption Islands because they haven't done it for a
Yeah,
while because they've sort of moved on to their whole Edge of Extinction shtick, where they have
yeah,
tons of people on the edge of extinction because they expect people to just give up. Um, it's not what happened here,
yeah.
but it just sounds weird as well,
I
don't you think? Redemption Rock.
I was not into that title at all. Of course, they didn't really have an island,
Well,
but
yeah, you can't have
like
an island in the middle of Cloncurry.
they can just call it Exile, because that's what it is. They wanted to attach a fun little name to it, but still, that Redemption Rock, the whole concept of it, the twist, the whatever, just ill.
I'm
Just
just gonna say that Monday
really was
episode
not
was
into it.
filled with way too many twists.
Okay, yeah,
Because the point is,
I
it's like three
Monday's episode was
immunities.
disgraceful. It
I don't know. They
was
go like,
so stupid. They just kept throwing new things into it for no reason at
yeah,
all.
so it's like three immunities. Only you three will have the opportunity to vote. And then JLP went, psych, I only said opportunity. Only one of you will
Only
vote.
one of you get to vote, and it's fire making, and survival expert Andrew couldn't make a fire.
So his flint broke, right? But he also, for some
Yeah,
reason, didn't put magnesium down. But I'm also going to say, like, I think they gave him too much husk or whatever
yeah.
because there's no way someone should be able to only use that sort of husk that's meant to just kickstart the fire and just win. Because that's what Danny did. She shaved off a shit ton of magnesium, lit the husk, and then threw all of the rest of the husk she had on top of it, and it
Her
somehow got big enough to, burn the rope.
her fire making strategy was very erratic, I think. It was
Yeah.
very sort of it was erratic, it was hectic, it didn't feel like a strategy. It felt like it wasn't going to work, but she
No,
made it work, and I've got to respect that.
yeah, but I feel like at that point that fire making was poorly designed because in no survival fire making challenge should someone like fumble around with the sticks to be like, because the whole point is you're trying to build and sustain a fire long enough to burn the rope. But no
But
point.
also, we saw Emmett make one pretty quickly, and he
Yeah,
had
Emmett
no
made one pretty
problem
quickly,
with
and
it.
he was going like the legit way through it. But Danny legit tried to build it up, and then was just like, "Shit, I can't do this," and then just threw everything on top, and it worked out. And that shouldn't work out.
It shouldn't, but it did, and I don't think you can like blame the fire making
I'm blaming the
sort of
fire making.
challenge for that. Fair enough. Yeah, but I feel like it shouldn't. It definitely shouldn't have worked. Um, but it did for her, and I guess it's not really poor design. It was just sort of luck of the draw, I think, with her. Um, but also, I'm just really surprised that Andrew couldn't even get anything going. He didn't get a spark. He didn't get the.
We
He
got
didn't even get
sparks,
the
he just couldn't get
husk
it to light.
going. Yeah, it was considering he's a survival expert. I thought he would have had better luck with it, but
Well,
he just
genuinely,
didn't.
what I think happened was I think he genuinely just forgot that he had magnesium to use and didn't use it because we saw him use zero magnesium. And
Yeah,
I'm assuming in his little fire things with the flint and steel, he doesn't have magnesium. Like, when you go
yeah,
on a camping trip, you're not bringing a massive like chunk of magnesium.
true, true,
But they give that to
true.
them in the fire making challenges so they don't take forever trying to start the fire, which Andrew was doing.
Yeah,
Because Emmett used magnesium, he got his going very easily. You know,
yeah,
Danny almost created a magnesium explosion.
yeah. I think Danny's fire making was so weird, but it worked out for her. And of course, we saw Emmett get his fire going. No matter what materials were on offer, I'm just surprised. I'm just surprised that survival expert Andrew couldn't get anything going. It just felt so weird. I don't know. Maybe an off day for him, but I feel like he's been having a lot of off days recently because we haven't seen a whole lot of him.
Oh, yeah, well, he's just been kind of. Well, he almost beat Emmett in that first sort of individual immunity challenge, and that's sort of
Yeah,
like. I don't know. And then he, won. Well, he came second in that second one, but that still won him immunity and the opportunity to vote. Uh, we haven't seen a lot of people, really.
yeah.
I mean, like, Flick's been pretty invisible.
Flick has been surprisingly invisible, but we did see her.
Once.
We saw her
But
get Kez's idol.
get Kez's idol, and then
At
she was
the
also like to Haley, "Oh, I do want to work with you, just not now." Which she's like, at this rate,
Yeah,
if Flick was ever going to work with Haley, she would have done it by now instead of
I think
unanimously voting her off. Like, are
I
you
think we
kidding?
could see. I think we could see Flick and Haley coming together against George next week purely because of that move that Haley did, where Haley went, "Hey Flick, you have Kez's idol," and Haley was like, "Ah shit," and George was like, "Oh, I didn't tell you. You must have seen it."
But like,
Like
okay, I'm just gonna say, like, if I was Flick, I'd just be more personally pissed off about that.
I'd be
Just
more personally pissed off, but
exposing.
I think she's gonna. Oh yeah, I could see that. I think
I'd
there
be
has got
pissed
a
off about someone
potential.
because if you think about it, George only disclosed it to one other person, or did he disclose it to all of Old Brains?
No, he disclosed it to all of Old Brains.
Still, Haley then continued to then expose it to the entire tribe at that point. So now it's
Yeah,
again a public immunity idol. I don't think
exactly.
anyone's really kept one entirely hidden the entire time. In fact, no, no one has. So I'd be more pissed off
No
about
one's
her
kept
doing
an
that though.
idol hidden the whole. Yeah. Well, who has idols at the moment? It's only Flick,
Only
right? Because
Flick, right?
Haley's exhausted hers.
Haley
Laura
used
has
hers.
exhausted hers. Yeah.
Well, the only one that was
Um.
in existence coming into merge was Haley's, and then Kez found one. Haley used hers, and now Flick has Kez's.
So Flick has the idol, and then I guess something else that idol pass on that night. What do you think of that? What any opinions on the idol
I
pass?
didn't
Because I
think
know
you
that
could
was
do
very
that.
controversial. You
Again, it's
okay?
it's
So
another difference.
it's
I think with American, I think in American you can't do that. Same as the whole
it's an
medevac thing.
interesting thing, yeah, because the Australian version has changed a bit because Nick Idonza or however you pronounce his last name shed a bit of light onto it because you can't do it on the American version, and a lot of
No, you
people were a
can't.
bit pissed off about it. But
Well, seems
apparently, they changed the rules for the All Stars season. Before the All Star season, they changed
for
it to where
Australian.
you for Australia, yeah, where you can pass the
Oh.
idol to someone else as long as your torch isn't snuffed. I believe.
Yeah, that was the thing. Like, so yeah, my brother was talking about that because she did pass it before. She passed it while she was getting a bag, I think,
Yeah. Well,
before she got her
okay,
torch.
when someone gets voted out in Australian Survivor, it's not like you must leave tribal council area immediately. The tribal council area immediately.
No, it's
It's
like
once
you
the votes
hug, you
are
say
read,
your
the decision is
goodbyes,
final. You do your little cuddles and hugs and tears. Throw your
and then you grab your
stuff in
torch
the
and you go.
fire if you feel like it, and go. I just like come. Okay, I'm not keen on the whole idol passing.
I don't
I
think that should be allowed because I think
I don't think it
it's
should
sort
be
of like
allowed.
a I think it's sort of like an asterisk in the rules that I think most people didn't think they could do, but
But
you never know till you try, which Kez did. Because Simon, if Simon knew he could pass, there's no way he wouldn't pass any of his idols, even if people
n-
knew that they
n-
had them. It's still a tool you
no,
can use.
I don't think he would have passed his idols if he knew. Well, no,
I
I
don't think
because
he's that
apparently
petty.
I think no, because I think all of the Nick did say that all of the contestants are briefed extensively on the rules before the show. So I think everybody knew about being able to pass an idol. But also
Well, why wouldn't he do it?
I don't think because look, he got blindsided. He didn't trust anyone. I don't think he wants to give anyone that pass into holding those two idols. And look, honestly, there's no great way to do it subtly. You know, there's
Well,
no
Kez
great
did
way
it
to be able to
fairly
do it.
subtly. Only George
Oh,
noticed it.
yeah, but of course, out of everyone to see it, it was George.
It's George.
So, look, I don't think there's a great way to do an idol pass subtly because I don't. And I just didn't
Unless you
like
sort of
it.
go like borderline sexual harassment, and like when you're
Shove it down
hugging
their
someone, you
pants or
shove it down their
something.
pants. Yeah.
Yeah, but know what? Then we have a season 40 of US Survivor on our hands.
Yeah, you can't really do that. But that's the only way I can see someone actually doing it subtly.
I don't think it should be allowed. I feel like
I don't
once the
think it should
votes
be
are
allowed.
read, I think yeah, once the votes are read, you
You're,
have been voted out. You're
and that
done.
includes your idol, right? Because the whole
Yeah,
point of them, they could have voted, they could have taken that opportunity to vote out someone who was a bigger threat, right?
yeah,
Like, I don't know, say like Danny or something.
yeah,
They probably wanted Danny gone more than Kez. Kez was a pretty
yeah.
nothing player, to be honest.
Kez
And they
didn't do
own,
a. She was fun. I will give her. She was a very fun person to have around camp.
yeah, but she didn't really do much,
She
like
didn't do anything
game
in terms of
wise.
strategy. Not she had that one swing vote that moved that I still think she should have taken last week, but just didn't.
Just didn't, right?
Yeah,
Um, but that's the thing. Haley and the rest of them only voted for Kez to get rid of the idol. But if she can just pass it off, then that's just a wasted vote, really. Because now then that's someone who just wasn't really a threat to them at all,
yeah.
gone, but the idol's still in play.
There were a lot of
And it's
people
not
that
like
said that renders flushing an idol useless, but I think there's a bit of miscommunication about what flushing and what
no,
blindsiding is. Because
flushing
flushing
is
is
you
getting
get
someone
them
to
to
play their
play
idol
it.
incorrectly. Yeah,
Yeah, they play it, but they're not in danger. Or I guess you could count flushing as well as splitting a vote on them and they play it. They still save themselves, but they don't really
I
benefit from them
wouldn't
because
call
they're
that
alliance.
flushing. I wouldn't call
It's
that flushing. If the
it's
majority
not
vote
exactly
was on
flushing.
them, I wouldn't call it
Yeah,
flushing. No, if the majority vote is on that person, then I would not call it flushing because they're at risk. They are in danger. That's just
there's
splitting
still
the
a
vote to account for the idol.
yeah, but the point is like, oh, true. I guess there's nothing you can do. Flushing is flushing. Like
Flushing is
George's idol
safe,
was
but
flushed.
blindsiding is meh. I don't know.
We
It
need
just
we
feels
need
like
a
something.
dictionary for this stuff.
Yeah, well, because I think we both sort of came up with a general definition that we agree on with blindsiding.
Oh yeah,
It
for sure.
it doesn't prevent either of them, but I just think it's not in the spirit of the game. I feel like giving someone an idol at because an idol is considered a personal belonging, right?
Yeah, like you can't take it from someone's bag or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. So when you get voted out, when the votes are read, um that personal belonging is part of your game and it has been
Yeah,
voted out. I just I saw someone say
bro. Like, what if they
because her
did the?
Yeah, sorry.
Like, what if this big brain move? What if, like, Shannon, when she got voted out the double tribal, just gives someone her bronze buff and they go, "Oh, I'm a brawn now."
Oh, I'm
Like,
in
can they do
Brawn
that?
now. Yeah. I I remember seeing someone say that her torch hadn't been snuffed, and since like the torch represents life, she was still technically in the game. But come on, it's
I
a
don't buy it.
symbolic thing. Yeah,
I
that's
don't
it's
buy
a
it.
the torches are a symbolic thing. You can't just like what if someone picked up their torch and just ran while it was still lit? Are they still in the game? Those torches are not lit the entire time. Like, come on,
Yeah,
as soon
they're
as
only lit
tribal is
at
out,
tribals.
yeah, it I it's a
It's sort of like
personal belonging.
confusing it.
It's
It's sort of
just
like
stupid.
confusing it for a sort of thing where it's like, oh, like the ball being alive or dead in sports like basketball or cricket or whatever. It's not the same sort of thing, right? It's not
Yeah.
you can do this when it's alive and this when it's dead. The torch is just symbolic. It's so you have the cool sort of like the tribe has spoken. Psh.
Or forbidden, Danny has
Danny has
spoken.
spoken. That was pretty funny from
That
JLP, I
was
have to
good. I
admit.
love JLP, awesome host. Love him to death. He is
He's
amazing.
good.
If I want to just follow him around for a day on the set of Australian Survivor, I think he'd be so fun to just observe. But he's an amazing host, and I see a lot of people call him better than Jeff Probst, which is interesting. I
He's
haven't
more
watched too much
playful
of
than
the
Jeff.
American. Yeah,
He's more like, I don't know, like more unpredictable than Jeff. But Jeff's just like the classic. He's like the father of
he is the
Survivor.
survivor. Yeah,
He is Survivor.
he's been doing it for 20 years. He is survivor. I
He
think he
is.
was he was thinking about leaving the show, but I think he said
He's like old now.
the fans are what gets him to stay
Yeah,
because
I mean
everyone just
he's
loves him.
not young.
Yeah, and also just I guess looping back to the idol pass real quick. Apparently, the same thing happened in South Africa. That's what Nick said on his Twitter. I don't
I
watch the
don't
South
watch South
Africa.
African. I can ask my brother about it. I know he's watching South African Survivor on Paramount Plus. Subscribe now. We're not sponsored by 10, but
We need to chuck the massive watermark in the corner for Paramount Plus that Channel 10 chucks onto all of theirs. But
yeah.
I know so it happened in South Africa, so I think the international versions are getting a bit of variation. But like,
You don't need that. It just makes it
yeah,
kind of unfair.
not even like South Africa did it. So what? I don't think they should be deviating that much from the like. Okay, it's not. I'm not adverse to deviating from the general format, but it's just
No, but
random,
it's just
unnecessary changes like
it's an
this that make
unnecessary
no
like
sense.
yeah, it's unfair. That's the point. Like it's like I don't want to bring like video game references in, but it's just like,
Yeah,
oh yeah, you can add a fun new feature to a game as long as it's balanced, right? This isn't
yeah.
balanced because there's no point in voting out someone with an idol if they can just
If they
pass it
can
on to
just
someone
give
else.
it, just exactly.
The whole
It
part of
just
this sting is like, ouch, they went home and they had an idol, now it's gone, right? And you're like, ouch,
yeah.
they could have done but like if they can just save their mate with it, what's the point?
There's just it's such an unnecessary rule shift, and it's just like again, it's so out of the spirit of the game. It
I feel like that's
makes
this
no
whole season
sense.
though.
Yeah,
Like this whole
true.
season's just all about trying to do weird stuff. Like that whole 3 to 5 making to one person voting.
That was
It wasn't
pathetic,
needed. It
honestly.
didn't change anything. The only thing it did was gave Andrew an opportunity to sort of make a move for Old Brain against, um, Old. I just want to say this as well. I'm
Yeah,
so annoyed that this is like the umpteenth season of Australian Survivor in a row where old tribe lines are
it
staying
is.
strong
That's
in merge.
merge. Well, we've
Like
seen
George
George
and Kara.
shift a little bit, but no, no, no. Kara has done nothing.
No, but
George
the point is, I'm saying George
has.
and Kara voting with Old Brawn. I still think it's still that sort of old tribe lines because we don't
No,
see anyone from
absolutely.
Brawn aligning. There's zero mixing. It's
No,
just
there's
like a
nothing.
little bit of like old brain going over. But other than that, there's like they're not mixed up, you know? It's just
Yeah,
old tribe.
exactly.
And I think that's the problem with having the swap and then merge like a week after that.
Yeah,
Because you
exactly.
don't forge these new alliances which then persist into merge. Just the old tribe lines stay strong. It's just like,
Yeah,
come on, man.
I think that just plays into how, not to offend anyone on the cast, just how not great the cast is this year.
See, I don't know if it's that. It's also the other notion that there are a lot more people in Australian Survivor and there are a lot more days, which
The
means that in order to
sorry,
play the
just to clear
safest
something up.
game,
Just to clear something up. The American version has shifted from 16 to 20, has it? Or is it still, because I know Winners at War was 20.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what they've done. I know that the length, like the amount of days that they're there, has been shortened. I can't remember
Yeah.
off the top of my head what to, but it's been shortened for COVID reasons or something, I think. So I don't think,
Yeah.
at least this upcoming season, they're going to have a ton of people.
Yeah.
But I was my whole point on like the bigger cast is that like playing big too early and doing too many sneaky things, right? From the
Yeah.
start can screw you over. As we saw with Haley, arguably, if it was an American, 16-person cast, starting to make your moves a little before merge, that's a fine time. But because there's a lot more people, it's just a lot safer to play the numbers for a really long time until it gets like the last sort of, 8 to 10
The last
maybe.
few tribals. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's why it's a recurring theme because we've got 24 people. So it's just a lot safer to play numbers as long as you can and then start building your final tribal resume.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we've seen Haley talk a lot about resumes this week. So
Yeah,
I think it's
she
entered the mind. And also I do Haley and Haley and Simon were the only fans of Australian Survivor. Well, like, the ones that have said it. Um that yeah, Haley and
Georgia
Simon are
said
the
it as
only, like,
well.
has okay, yeah, George has said it. I'm not sure how much I believe him on that. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
And he
Um
said he'd been watching it since he was 11, but like, you
yeah.
know,
So I think at the moment in the merge tribe, the only person who I see actually playing the game and thinking about final tribal is Haley, and it comes into her
yeah,
winner edit
it comes into
that
her winner edit. Like,
that we think she's getting.
I sort of thought that she was going to come back. Well, that's the other thing as well. Suspiciously, Redemption Rock came at the exact same tribal council that Haley was very close to getting voted out on.
Yeah,
The same thing with the whole getting swapped to the other tribe when George was very close to getting voted out on.
yeah. And what about, I guess, on Redemption Rock, and like swaying it towards Haley a little bit, the challenge? I looked at that for 1 second and knew Baden is not doing this.
I don't think it was biased to anyone. Like that challenge is hard for anyone.
Yeah,
I think Baden just went about it the wrong way. I mean, we saw
I
Haley get into the winning strategy. If you've watched those sort of challenges before, the winning strategy is to not even use the rope. Because what we saw Haley do eventually, and she
Haley
sort of
wrapped
settled there
herself
for up,
around it.
she
Yeah,
locked her legs around it after like, I think it was like 10, 15 minutes. She eventually figured out she could do that. And that seemed a
yeah.
lot more comfortable than on the
Than
rope.
what
I
Baden
just
was
want to
doing, which
say
is trying
though,
to like squeeze his feet onto the rope. Yeah,
yeah, George was chatting so much shit that entire challenge because he did not want Haley back at all. And he was
yeah,
just
no,
like, oh, someone who's raced in multiple Tour de France's versus, a pain researcher or whatever. Like, oh, I wonder
yeah,
who's going to win this one.
yeah, exactly. It's so funny. It's so funny. And I guess now that Haley is back in, we already have both George and Danny, who were very iffy on Haley.
Oh, no, I would say more than very iffy. Like,
Yeah.
I'm genuinely curious. I'm confident she will survive. I'm confident she is getting very
No,
far at least.
I'm confident in that as well.
I
She's
just don't
too
know
good of a
how she's
game
getting
player.
herself out of this situation. Because the point is, that's the other thing with Redemption Island or Redemption Rock
Redemption
is that
Rock.
people can hate you and then you leave. And the time you're gone, people's hates and interests move on to other people so that when the time you come back, you're not. the target anymore. But
Yeah.
Haley was kind of screwed over because she was the target. She got voted off, and she's straight back in.
Yeah.
No rest in between. So it's
I
like, who's
yeah.
really going to shift to side with her? I'm confident she will survive this, but I don't know how.
No, she'll absolutely survive this, and it's not going to be her surviving the situation. It's going to be her getting rid of the situation. And I think Danny and George should absolutely watch out in the next week, because they're not going to be there for too long now that Haley's back. Haley's a very good social player. Um, and also, I'd also be wary of Andrew as well, because I think Haley is soured towards him a little bit.
Well, yeah, because she threw a vote. Well, here's the thing. She threw a vote on Andrew
Yeah.
the night she was voted out. But her alliance with all of Old Brain is completely gone because that was a unanimous vote. Everyone wrote down Haley except Haley.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Yeah.
what can she do at this point? I'm genuinely curious. Like, Old Brain kind of like, I wouldn't say dicks, but it's just sort of like a spineless move to just sort of give up. It's sort of
Yeah.
like, it's big Gladys Berejiklian vibes, just
Oh,
rolling
getting
over.
political. Getting political. Okay. Well,
If
Gladys
George
is
is
on the next
listening, he'd
episode. Yeah.
love me digging into Gladys right now. He'd
Mm.
love that.
We can get George on, and you guys can just trash Gladys for a good while. I don't think she's good either. But
That's how we'd get him on here.
yeah.
Honestly, we just bait him like we can,
We're
diss
gonna shit talk
Gladys.
Gladys for a while. Yeah. And I guess them sort of folding back on Haley. Haley was brains at the start, right?
Haley was brains.
Yeah. So that's why I think this week we're gonna see the tribal lines blurred a little more.
I'm hoping so because for Haley to continue moving forward, that has to happen because
Yeah.
everyone has turned on her, which means anyone is up for an alliance with her. Basically,
Yeah.
wait, let me rephrase that. She's up for an alliance with anyone.
She'll take whoever she can get. She's said it before. She's scrambling for her life, and she will do it again.
Well, she threw George under the bus to scramble for her life, and that didn't work.
Yeah.
I guess it's a suitable time to talk about it now. And just George being a politician, and it frustrates the shit out of me so much.
He mentions it every episode now.
But the thing is, every time Haley throws him under the bus or interrogates him for, double crossing old
He
Brawn,
just dodges it entirely.
he does politician non-answers,
It's
just
so
like,
funny. It's so
like
funny.
Emmett's like to him, like, George, is she telling the truth or is she not? And he doesn't say yes or no.
And
He
George
just
is just
says,
like, I know who's telling the truth. And what's like, George, is she telling the truth? What matters is that we're all loyal to each other. Because that's what, come on.
is it any wonder that he's a politician? Like,
It's the
seriously.
funniest. He is like,
It's the.
it is so funny. I never thought I'd praise George. I'm not praising him because it is so frustrating to watch. But like, also he gets out of the answers so. I want to see the full tribals because I guarantee there's people in these tribals that are just looking at George and going like, "Can you answer the bloody question, mate?"
The question is, though, who do you think they're believing? Do you think Haley has sort of won this battle or George?
No, I
Because I've
think
got
I don't think
my
either
thoughts.
of them have won this battle. I don't think either of them have won this battle, and I'll tell you why. Haley is public enemy number one. Everyone is against her. She has not won. But also, George has now been outed for not being loyal, and I think his
But do
non
they
answers
believe
that he's
George?
given. No, there's nothing to believe George on because he is like. We've had confirmation that Haley essentially outed George entirely for not being loyal with her little idol stunt on Flick's idol. So I think people are going to remember that, especially Flick. And it's like, I think George's combination of non answers and very obvious non loyalty in the last tribal council has also lost him the battle. So I don't think anybody has won this at all.
Here's my take.
Yeah.
I think even before she outed Flick's idol, they believed her. And here's why, basically. Monday's episode, we see Danny saying, that she's not buying it, that it was luck. There's no way that Haley got both things right by chance, both the person to play the idol on and who to vote for.
Yeah.
And I'd agree. Statistically, it's an insane probability that you'd get both. Actually, we could calculate it right now. Hold on, we're gonna calculate the odds. This might not be right. So,
Okay.
what was it? A 1 in 5 chance of playing the idol on the right person. So that's 0.2 times how many were in the old brain?
12.
I'm not old brain, old Brawn. In
12.
that alliance, is it?
Oh, in the whole alliance. Okay.
Is it 7? Yeah, it's 7, right?
I don't know. Maybe.
It was 7. It was 7 at that point because we had 13,
Yeah.
right? This probably isn't the best probability estimation, but from my calculations here, that's a 3% chance to both play the idol on the right person and then vote out the person with the idol. Actually, it's probably a little higher because Emmett had immunity. No, it's still roughly 3%.
Yeah.
So I'd agree with Danny. There's no way I'd buy that she got that by chance. And she knew that there was a snitch,
not at
right?
all.
And when someone comes along and says, this person's your mole, I get that Haley's hard to believe at this point. That she has sort of done her various blindsides and tricks and whatever. But again, why out of all people to throw under the bus would she throw an old brain under? And that's where it comes down. They saw that George and Kara had been talking to old brains. They knew that there was a snitch. And when someone comes and says that one of them was, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't believe that. But the reason they didn't go for him at that point is to keep the numbers. And that's what I think. Yes, it's bad to have the snitch, but if you stamp out your opposing alliance anyway, it doesn't matter what he tells them. Because that's the thing. They don't have any idols anymore. No matter what George tells them from now on, that majority alliance is still going to win in every single vote. So they can just get rid of their opposing alliance and then get rid of their least loyal members. And that's what I think. That's why I don't think he's gone yet.
That's fair. That's pretty fair. And also, I guess George always now has the option of flipping to the Brawn majority alliance as well. He's always got that option. Of course, George brings 2 votes with him because Kara is his little errand
George.
girl. Yeah. So I do think. Look, I know that George is generally safe in this. Well, no. Okay, I guess. I guess with George is that I think everybody on the show has seen how unpredictable and explosive and uncontrollable he is, right?
Exactly. Which is why he's at the bottom of that alliance anyway. They literally are only dragging him along for the numbers. Because had he gone with old Brain at the start, old Brawn wouldn't have had the numbers. It would have been the other way round. Actually, it would have been 6v5. But still, they wouldn't have had the numbers. And no idols as well.
Yeah, but also I think George could very easily and is very probably likely to flip to old Brawn. I just think it's the most plausible, and of course, again, he brings 2 votes with him.
He already is with old Brawn.
I don't think he's with old Brawn. I think he's with against Haley.
He was against Haley. No, he's with old Brawn. Otherwise, why would he have voted Laura as well? That first tribal. No, he's with them because he was with them in the tribe swap, and then he has a vendetta against people trying to vote him out or being disloyal or whatever from old Brain, and he's just like, I don't like you guys anymore.
Exactly. Well, he's already got his vendetta with Rachel sorted, and just about everyone else.
I'm not going to say he's playing a bad game or anything. It's just confusing, and some of his mannerisms annoy me slightly.
I will be more than happy to say he's playing a bad game.
I won't discredit him because he's getting this far. he at a point was using Old Brain as his own little puppet thing. I will admit he's done some good things, but his
And he
just
did
general
control.
attitude,
Yeah, he
oh
did
no,
control a
chief.
majority alliance on the swapped brain as well.
Yeah. So he has that ability, and he has sort of exercised that, but his general philosophy, I don't agree with.
His ethics, would you say?
Not necessarily ethics. It's not like he's unethical. If anything, he's too ethical. It's just
I
the
don't
way
think
he
he's
thinks.
ethical. I don't think
Well,
he's
his
too
whole.
ethical. I think he allows himself to not be ethical, but when other people aren't ethical, he flips completely.
But that's what I mean about his philosophy. His whole belief is you have to stick by your word no matter what in a game of lies and deceit. Yes, he has excluded himself from that rule, evidently, with what we saw happen on Sunday's episode. But, it's just like, I still don't like the way he values loyalty above all. You know?
Yeah.
It's not how
I
the game works.
I think I honestly would be happy to say he plays a pretty not great game but like look, it's worked for him. Good on him. His game is working. I just don't think it's very good. And it's just primarily because he pitches himself as the most unlikable person ever, but people keep him around. Well, no, but he's got enough power to keep himself around. And two, he has no foresight to his decisions. Um, with anything, he just has no foresight. He doesn't look beyond the next tribal. He's always just looking at what will immediately satisfy him at that moment. And I think that
And
foresight
how
is
he can
really
be
going to
King
axe him.
George.
Oh, there is only one king on this tribe, and it is me. Like, oh god, he's just so unlikable. I don't know if he's like this in real life or he's amping it up for the show, or if it's complete editing tricks and they're somehow picking out the most unlikable bits for him. But he's just so unlikable in this show. And I saw an article. I didn't click it. I didn't read it because I looked at the headline and thought it was stupid. It was King George has become the most likable celebrity reality TV villain, and I was just like, nope.
Likeable?
And yeah, I don't see whether I'll have to read that article.
For someone to
But it
be a
was on.
likable villain, you've got to empathize with them. I don't empathize with this man
I don't
at
empathize
all.
with George at all. I like when his head is on the chopping block. Every time his head has been on the chopping block or his name has been mentioned, I've just been screaming, just like, do it, get rid of him, have it done
Exactly.
with. But like, his game is just so. I don't think he has control of his game because he never knows what's happening. Then I feel like if you asked him at any point in um during the game, what do you think? What's your big plan? What are you thinking for the next couple tribals? His answer will either be, "I don't know. We'll see when we get there," or it'll be something that doesn't happen at all because he changes his strategy completely based on who pissed him off that day.
But here's the thing, and I hate to say it, and it's probably very unlikely at this rate, but if he
Yeah.
somehow ends up at Final Tribal with Kara,
No.
he wins,
No.
right? It's
Not
probably not
happening.
going to happen that way. But the point is, if he's lined up, even if he goes there with like say like Gerald or something, or even Flick at this point, because he's just shaking things up more than either of them.
I I'd agree with you. But also we've seen with Russell Haynes, you can do so much in the game and be the biggest prick in the universe and not get any votes at the end.
But Russell didn't like. Was he really like good game wise, or was he just a massive dick that somehow stuck around to the end?
No, I think he I don't know too much about the American Survivor seasons he was in. I haven't seen too much about it, but from what I've heard and what I've read, he's doing sort of exactly what George did. Well, does.
Maybe
And
I don't think
I,
they're
I
really comparable.
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw George fall into the Russell Haynes trap of getting to Final Tribal and then everyone being like, you were rude and disloyal. I don't want to vote for you. Like I guess like if you don't think they're comparable, you probably know a bit more about it than I do. but just by the sounds of things, it feels like George is Australia's Russell Haynes.
The slight difference comes in that he's sort of got the whole underdog story going for him. Everyone wanted him going from the start, and he seems like kind of like, you know, that little dude trying to fight his way to the top. I don't
Yeah.
think Russell had any of that. Russell was just
No,
sort of
Russell
Russell from the
definitely
start
didn't.
and was just a
Yeah.
dick from the start. Meanwhile, George has been fighting from the bottom the entire time. And I think that's the only thing he has going for him, like against, say, Russell, is the fact that some jurors, mate, at the end go, oh, like, look at this guy. Like, he's sort of worked his way up from almost getting booted first, second night to, you know, final tribal council. And some people may
Yeah.
respect that. We don't know. You can't predict these things.
No, no. I guess he does have that going for him, and that works wonders in final tribal council as we've seen in previous Australian Survivor seasons. Like we had Shane have that underdog story. We had was Pia an underdog? I think every Australian Survivor win except for David has been an underdog story.
I wouldn't say Pia was an underdog story. I think Pia was fairly comfortable from the start. She was just
Okay, yeah,
more.
she had Janine for the most
Yeah,
part.
she
Yeah,
just rode with Janine the entire time, and then when Janine went, she was all that was left. It was that season. I I call it was a goat versus goat basically at the end. Neither
yeah,
Pia nor Baden had really done anything, but I guess Pia was the, you know, better of the two. I'm not sure.
yeah, yeah. No, I agree with that. I think Pia did do some gameplay moves. And she sort of like she showed she could defend for herself once Janine was gone, but I think Janine was a major catalyst in bringing her to that point.
For
And I didn't
sure,
like
she
Janine at
literally,
all, but
yeah, she
you
just
know,
followed Janine basically the entire time for as long as she could. And then
yeah,
Janine got picked off, the godmother. Is that
yeah,
what they
and
called her? They called her
yeah,
something like
but
that.
Janine
And then,
didn't have any strategy either. Her strategy was just to get votes.
yeah,
She had no idle strategy. She had no challenge strategies. She didn't have anything. Her strategy was just get majority, keep majority. That's
bro,
it.
it's just like owning shares in Boost Juice.
Oh god. Yeah. But I think, okay, I guess except for David and Pia, every Australian Survivor winner has been an underdog story.
And I guess that's what
Um,
wins.
it's
Again, like
what wins.
If Haley makes it to the end at this point, shit, that's the biggest underdog story, even bigger than George, because that's I've come back while everyone still hated me, and I've made it this far. That's true underdog, right?
Yeah, yeah. And she is getting that winner at it. I don't know.
She
I feel
totally
like her
is.
underdog story. I do say that with Haley, but I just wonder if the underdog story will be enough to carry George through because I don't think it will
I don't
be.
think it is. I'm like, this is one of the biggest points that my brother and I disagree on, is the efficacy of George's game. He genuinely thinks George has it in him to win. I am
No,
convinced otherwise. Yes, he's done some decent stuff, but it's not winning stuff.
I don't even know what he's going to say at Final Tribal Council. What's he going to say? He's going to give non answers.
He's
He's
just
going
going
to
to
do
be
his
more
whole politician
politician. So,
act.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
really the most we're
I
going to
feel like,
see
and that
from him.
just won't work. That won't work at if he gets to Final Tribal Council. A politician method of answering questions isn't going to do him good.
Well, that's the other thing. When it becomes, I don't know if anyone will ever be totally convinced that he did snitch, but if people are, and it does definitively come out that he, was lying the entire time, his answers and his behavior at that tribal council and around that situation where he's just like, Haley will do anything to win. Like, I think that'll reflect really badly on him.
Yeah, yeah. But I guess also just while we talk about Final Tribal Council, are you still happy with your Final Three prediction?
I think it's changed to final two now. I think with the Chelsea
Because of
Medivac,
Chelsea. Yeah.
and not to mention the sports bet thing
Which we
again.
won't mention right now
We're not going to
because,
mention the
yeah.
people. The big point of me thinking it was final three is because we had the winner odds and then two odds that were similar and then the next odds were like $5 higher than that. But
Yeah.
now it's changed where there's the winner odds, then runner-up odds, and then third after that. Now there's a big leap between second and third. So
Oh
at this
wait,
point, yeah,
are you talking about actual sport? Have you looked
I'm
at
talking
it?
about the actual odds.
Okay.
I checked the moment Chelsea got medevaced, and
Yeah.
it had changed.
Is Chelsea
Um,
part of jury?
no, she's
I don't
not.
think so.
Baden's the
Baden's the
only jury
first.
member. Have you seen
Yeah.
what the jury villa looks like? Well, I can't really call it a villa. It's just basically like
No, I
a
haven't seen it.
motel.
Not
There's
surprised.
there's this photo of
Wait,
Baden on this like basketball court, and it's just
yeah.
like the life. It's
It's
a bit
just
of a
like a
stitch up that they
holiday.
had. Well, because the whole thing of like if you're a juror in like one of like the tropical seasons, you get this nice little tropical villa that you stay in, right? And it's like a little
Yeah.
holiday.
It's like a
But
little
I'm
outback motel. Yeah.
yeah, it's an outback motel, so it's not you know
It
the
honestly
holiday
looks like a
Baden was
school
hoping
camp.
for.
It looks like
It
a school.
really does. That's what I think. Like the fence and like just like the basketball court and just everything just is like
Yeah.
major school camp vibes.
It get it is school camp. And like Ponderosa, the jury villa, when it was in Fiji, that was a really lovely looking holiday.
Exactly. And this is not so much.
Yeah.
Arguably, you're better off not being a juror at this point and just straight up going home after getting eliminated.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I still think it would be kind of relaxing, but I guess you wouldn't be kicking yourself for not making jury if you were hoping for a holiday.
Yeah, well, the other thing right now is, at least for the time being, Baden's on his own there. Like, he doesn't really have anything to do, anyone to talk to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
like, other than just shoot some hoops in that basketball court.
Surely road to dunking, which we won't elaborate on, but surely road to dunking. But I have killed Evan.
That was funny.
But I guess was there anything else we needed to mention this week? Because honestly, this week the only thing that really happened was merge, and then we only had one person, well, two people go home. Three Chelsea, I guess.
3 Chelsea.
Um,
Um,
two actual tribals, I guess. Well, like two eliminations. Two eliminations.
2 eliminations.
But I guess, yeah, there isn't much to talk about other than that, I guess, is there?
I mean, if we're on the topic of Survivor, branching off from Australian Survivor a little bit, I just want to talk with it because I haven't even talked to you about this
Okay.
because you keep brushing it off, and that's Roblox Survivor or Outlaster as it's called on there to avoid any copyright.
Yeah.
Like they changed everything, right?
Yeah.
Like idols are now just called advantages. Like, of course, the game's called Outlaster instead of Survivor.
Yeah.
Tribal councils are just called eliminations. Immunity is called safety. That's the weirdest thing to me.
Ugh.
Everything's just changed to, I guess, avoid as much copyright potential as possible because they
Yeah.
do make money off this, right?
They do. They do. They have the Robux.
They have the Robux. But
Yeah.
that's the thing. I couldn't convince you to play with me, which just is really sad because it's genuinely like a good.
Yeah.
Okay, I wouldn't say good, but it's a decent
I think no, I know that night you
translation.
texted me to play it. I just wasn't feeling it. I
I
think.
kept trying to get you to play with me, and you were like,
Yeah.
maybe later, and that never came. Which,
How about
joke's
we'll
on you.
definitely do it.
The
Yeah.
3 of us that were playing made it to Final Tribal, and I
All
won.
three of you.
All 3 of us.
Nice.
I won. Oh.
Surely, sure. Okay. I think we said this before we started the podcast. Not this episode, just the entire thing. We were gonna do a live stream for the finale.
Yeah,
Surely we do
we'd
it like
live
as it's
stream
airing.
playing.
Yeah, the pre-show is us playing Roblox Survivor, and then we watch the finale.
If we can get anyone on, in the off chance that Phil follows up on his word, on the off chance that Simon
follows
is
up on their word.
satisfied,
Yeah.
we could play out and we could play Outlaster with them. The problem with Outlaster is there's 0 time before tribals or at tribals to
Because you
even
just go
like
straight
talk
into vote.
strategy. I found an idle clue, and I literally didn't even have time before every single tribal to go to the other side of the island and get it, right? Because that's the way it
Okay.
works. Like your idle clues, you just find them in a bush, and
Yeah.
then it's basically just a compass to where an idol's hidden. I
Yeah.
literally didn't have time, literally trying to speed run to this idol every single time. I did not have time to go get it. It was such bullshit, right? And the other thing as well, you literally only have 20 seconds to talk strategy, and there's no strategy. It's literally like you private message someone, you go, "Hey, you want to work with me?" If you're lucky, they'll respond and say sure.
Yeah.
And then at that point, you literally just tell them, "Okay, we're voting this person tonight. Okay, we're voting this person tonight." And if you do that to a couple people, literally all you need is 3 to get majority, because no one talks to each other.
So
No
everyone
one
just
talks
votes
to
randomly.
everyone just votes randomly or who they want to go. But if you
Yeah.
literally get an alliance of 3 or 4, you win every single vote. And that's what we did. 3 of us playing together that one game. But the first game I played, I was totally by myself, and I literally just messaged a couple people like, "Hey, do you want to work with me?" And they're like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
sure." And then it's just like easy. But the thing with that is, you get no jury votes, because there's 0 time to pitch your game to the jurors, and that's if any stick around. Because what happens is
Yeah. They just leave once they're voted
they
off.
just leave when they get voted off and onto the jury. They just leave the game and join a new one. So there's
That's
usually only one
hilarious.
jury member, and that's the last dude that was voted off before final tribal, who just sticks around because it's literally like another 2 minutes that they have
So
to
it's
stick around.
pitching to the one person.
But you don't have time to pitch. There's no time to pitch. It
Yeah.
literally goes straight from that final tribal. They get voted off, and then it's a cut scene to then when the jurors vote, and then it cuts straight to like their makeshift stage for the finale where they read the votes.
Yeah.
Which is why they introduced this sort of like bullshit system where it's like extra votes, which you get for doing various things, like the person who won the most immunity challenge, or the person who received the least
It's
amount
so
of votes,
stupid.
or the person who got the most amount of votes correct. And by correct, they mean voting on the person that ended up actually going out.
Yeah.
Which is incredibly easy to do if you just like these. Like,
Talk to one other person.
I don't know how old these people are
12.
that play it, but half the time they'll just do what you say.
It's like Kara.
It's like Kara. They're all Kara, and that's the funny thing. Except there was one game. That one game when all 3 of us were playing together and we won. I literally messaged about like 5 different people. Hey, you want to work together? Hey, you want to work together? Hey, you want to work together? Not one even responded. And half the people
Oh my
as well, when you
god.
whisper to them, they don't know that feature exists. So they say
Oh
like
no! I say
they
it in
say
the
like
chat.
they say like yeah, sure, in the public chat, right? Or like one time I whispered to
Oh my
someone,
god.
I was like, "Hey, you want to work together?" And just in the public like chat, in the public channel, they just go, "Who, me?" And it's just like, bro, are you
That
serious?
is insane.
And
We'll definitely do that.
for that reason, Discord survivors, in my opinion, are a
Yeah.
lot better.
I was just about to ask you, Discord or Roblox or Zoom. I think for me it would be Zoom, Discord, Roblox.
Zoom,
I've never
Discord,
played a
Roblox,
Roblox.
although the Roblox challenges, I'd say, are better than the rest. Because
Oh no, absolutely.
what you do for challenges in the other ones is like, there's no theming about it. There's no survivor theming about it. You're basically just looking for games online or something or whatever, like Type Racer
Yeah.
even.
Because I've
Uh,
seen a live stream. There's this YouTuber Leo Vader. I'm not sure if you've watched any of his videos, but he
no, I
live
haven't.
streams Roblox Survivor every Sunday. And I've seen some of the challenges on. Well, it's not
They're pretty
specifically
good.
Roblox Survivor, but yeah, I've seen the challenges, and they're like actual Roblox games that actually require skill.
They require
So
skill. They're sort of
they're
like
like,
survivor
but
challenges
accessible
in
to
Roblox.
everyone. Yeah,
Accessible, and they're pretty fun, if I do
they're
say so myself.
physical challenges.
Well, there are physical and puzzle challenges, which is crazy. And by
Yeah,
physical, it's more like obstacle
run.
courses and jumping
Yeah,
and stuff. And the puzzles are actually just like either do this maze or go find this thing or
yeah,
like copy this pattern or whatever. Or like there's like a code thing you have to. I don't know.
Yeah,
But they're genuinely good challenge. They're genuinely good challenges. But every other aspect of the game, not so
bit
great.
iffy. I think you need to have like people actually dedicated to it.
So you can get a private server, but you need to get enough people in. But at that point as well, I think you can change the times to allow more time to discuss votes and all that. Because
Yeah.
there really needs to be way more time to discuss votes.
Okay. I guess for the Australian Survivor producers, if COVID hits in Queensland harder and they can't film the new season, just get all the applicants on Roblox and film a
Just get
season.
them all on Roblox.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's
That'd be
not that
fun.
bad.
Yeah.
Everyone memes on Roblox, but it's like, it
I have
wasn't
seen
that
this
bad of an
this
experience.
Roblox Survivor ones. They don't look too bad.
This was
I saw something where like it was like Roblox, it was Roblox Survivor, but they edited like an entire actual Survivor episode around it. It's like there was like an actual camera crew, like people dedicated to filming it and like
the
getting
one.
confessionals and everything.
Well, the one episode that I saw, the one thing I saw of it recently, I don't know if you know the YouTuber Alpharad, but he literally
I've heard of them.
the day after I had my little Roblox Survivor thingy, he literally posted a video on it where he got a whole bunch of people to play it. So it was just like, wow, the timing. Like, we live in a simulation, man. Elon
Yeah.
Musk was right.
But yeah, we'll have to play Roblox Survivor. That'd
We'll
be
have
quite
to.
fun.
You have
Yeah,
to jump on with me. Jump
we'll
on with
do
me
it.
now after the episode, surely.
We actually could. That would be kind of fun. We should do that.
We'll get some other people in as well.
Yeah. But I guess anything for next week you wanted to say? I think the tribal lines will be blurred.
I'm
Haley
hoping
will
so.
definitely be one to watch. I think George, Danny, and Haley are in a little feudal triangle. Tribal lines will be blurred, and my number one is still Flick.
All I'm going to say is I genuinely have no clue what's going to happen. I'm stumped. I don't know how Haley's going to get
Yeah.
out of whatever situation she is in. I don't know who's going to be going next. I don't know who the target's going to be on. I don't know if George is going to be targeted. I don't know if Danny's going to be targeted. I don't know if Emmett's going. I have no idea. I genuinely have no clue.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like that I
I
don't know what's going to happen.
yeah.
I
Okay.
just want
That'll
to
be
just like
interesting.
make one extra note that
Yeah.
the editing again
Oh.
is slightly frustrating.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think Kez really got. I think that's what it was kind of like a blindside on us that Kez got
Kez got
voted
a
out.
fair bit of screen time.
No, she didn't. Not really. Not until she found that idol, and she got
No,
voted off.
she's always had a little bit of. She's always been a like okay, maybe not as
I'm
much
talking specifically on the episode she
as
got voted out, because the one thing I wanted to say is, like, the episode Baden got voted out. Like, bang, first confessional of the episode is Baden.
yeah.
And we see more of him more than we've ever seen of him throughout the entire. And that's the other thing. The moment we see Gerald get a confession, he's gone.
Yeah.
I think I saw some statistic where, like, Gerald at this point, at least in Australian Survivor,
Has not received a single
has
vote.
had the longest gap between confessionals. Like, by the time he gets his next one, that'll be the longest gap in Australian Survivor episode wise between confessionals.
Really?
So that's what I'm saying. With the
Jesus.
way the editing trends are going, the moment we see Gerald have a confessional, he's going home that
He's
episode,
gone.
and there's no
It'll be
other way
like
around it.
it'll be like All Stars Flick. She got one confessional and she was gone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just predictable editing.
Sorry, not George. Gerald hasn't received a single vote. His name has never been tossed out there either.
No.
Which is cool, because I love Gerald. He's so nice. He's the most
It's just because he's so nothing. It's just like he's just there.
so sweet. I have a
he's
bit
a
of
nice
a
person.
theory about Gerald. I think he's been injured somehow, but just it's not severe enough to bother about. I think he's been injured.
What makes you think that, though? What makes you say that?
I think his just physical gameplay, like in challenges, it just hasn't been what it was, I'd say, in the first 2 weeks, first 2 or 3 weeks. I
But
think
they're
week
not.
4 and 5, we've really seen his physicality dip a lot more.
We haven't seen many pure strength ones though.
No, that's true. But also, I just think like, and also the main sort of catalyst that made me think that is, the challenge where I think it was the challenge for the nachos or something. I don't know. Did they have a challenge for nachos? I'm not sure what it was, but it was where they were
Well, they
holding
had
the
the things in the
the
cloches.
bars. Yeah, the bars, and then they were loading the sandbags onto them every like 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, that was. I
That
think that no, that was the sweets one. I think
the yeah okay maybe okay
it was the
that
sweets.
but that bar, it came off him a bit funny by the looks of it, and
You
he
reckon that hurt
looked a
him?
bit. I think that hurt him,
Mm.
and I also think his I don't want to say his ego, his self esteem. I think that's sort of hit him ever since he lost the bucket challenge where you
I
could
think so
pass
too.
them around.
He was really cut about that.
Yeah, I think his self esteem has taken a hit, and I think that bar with the sandbags challenge, I think that's injured him a little bit physically.
It's just really hard to know because that's the last time he got a confessional. That episode.
Yeah, it's difficult to know, but I just have this vibe that he's injured himself a little bit.
Possibly.
But hopefully he doesn't get medevac because that'll be the third medevac if he does of the
Well, not
season.
evac. Only one evac. Third time someone's
Well,
been removed for medical reasons.
yeah, and I think this late into in the game, I think this is where it would get really unfair to remove people.
Yeah, like it already. Chelsea wasn't in any danger, but again, she missed a tribal just like Georgia did previously. So,
But I guess at least she didn't retain. And Danny was a bit cut up about Chelsea as well. I noticed that. Because I guess her and Chelsea were really good friends. I never really saw that. They never got a whole lot of screen time together. It was there, but I didn't expect
I
Danny to be as broken up about it as she was.
I don't want to be mean, but quite
Yeah.
honestly, I don't care. Like
Oh god. Okay.
you might have been friend. I guess like yeah, there's value in having a friend while you're stuck out there for that long, but
Yeah.
game wise, it's not a loss at all. I wouldn't be too cut up about it. She wasn't really
Yeah.
strong in any aspect. I sound like
Fair
such
enough.
a dick, but like I'm just trying to be like honest here. Like
She never
I
really brought anything especially special to the. I wouldn't call her a dead weight. I wouldn't call her bad. But like
no,
she was
she's
just
just like
sort of like
middling.
there. She was just there.
Same as like
Yeah.
Gerald. Like they're just there.
Yeah. But I guess we'll see
I
how
don't know.
Gerald fares next
We'll see
week. I
how it
think he'll be
goes.
fine next week.
We'll wait to see
Yeah.
what happens next week. So on
Yeah.
that note, I guess we'll wrap it up here. Thanks for watching. If you did make it this far, contact us. Feel free to get in touch. Mail at evanandfreddy.com or
Yeah.
the Twitter. Hit us up in Twitter DMs at Evan and Freddy.
We have our
Um,
absurdly expensive Patreon that I don't think we've even published an episode early to because we always end up recording them on like a Friday night usually.
And no one's a patron to it anyway, so there wouldn't be a
Yeah.
point.
But thank you very much for sticking with us 5 weeks in, and we'll see you next Saturday for more Australian Survivor. Stay safe.
See you guys.
See you later.